You have a great idea for a story. It's so good, it should write itself. So why is it you can't seem to make any progress? Whenever we sit down to write, there are always two stories going on. There's the story that we're working on, and the story that's working on us. And getting that internal story straight is the key to unlocking our creativity. There is a reason we often fail to finish what could have been a great script, novel or short story. It's that our conscious and subconscious minds are not working together in harmony. Good story ideas always spring unconsciously to mind, from the right hemisphere of the brain, the side that dreams. Then at some point early in the process, the logical left side brain must take over. The left side is great at organizing, and it's our language center, which is handy. Unfortunately, it also roots us in the everyday world. It monitors the time and money we've spent on this crazy endeavor, and it weighs our chances of success in an increasingly competitive world. And thoughts like this quickly become doubts, and doubts grow like weeds, choking the flow of creativity. Every artistic person in whatever medium feels that sense of frustration that comes with knowing that we have more inside us, more ideas, more inspiration, just more creativity to offer the world. If we could just dig it out from under the blanket of our insecure thinking about whether the story is worth telling and whether we're good enough to tell it.
My name's David Richard Fox. I'm a writer. I've been a storyteller my whole working life. I started out in theatre, went on to work for radio, worked in TV for many, many years, film, now I'm writing novels. I've really written in every possible context. In the last 10 years or so, I've been very involved in personal development. I trained in hypnotherapy. I've become a practitioner of NLP and the 3 principles. And I've learned a lot about how the human brain works. And what I've done is created a writing course, online writing course called the Storyteller Gene, because I know that we all have this storytelling ability. So if you're interested at all in the workings of your brain and becoming a writer, or if you're a writer who's stuck at all in any of your stories, then this is for you.
After a lifetime of storytelling, I know why writers get stuck, and I know how to get them unstuck. So I've designed my course, the Storyteller Gene, to enable anyone, whether they're just starting out or if they're at the very top of their game, to get through those mental blocks and produce produce the work they know they're capable of producing. Here are some of the TV shows that I've written for. There are many courses and books by experienced writers on dramatic structure, pacing, character development, and so on. Now, they analyze successful film screenplays, showing how themes are explored, how tension is created. And for many of us, this is a fascinating lifelong study. I explore all of these areas on the course, but with the added dimension of focusing on our psychology, as we wrestle not only with the demands of the medium, but also with the expectations we place on ourselves, and inevitably the self-doubt and writer's block that can result from those expectations. Those limiting beliefs that we carry unconsciously through life can make the difference between a great piece of dramatic writing, fully realized and offered up to the world, and yet another promising idea consigned to the bottom drawer along with all the others. It would be nice to have a guarantee. It's just human nature to want to find the magic, foolproof formula that will ensure success. But really, there's no such thing. Because when you embark on a story, you're going on a journey, a personal and spiritual one. It's the reason why the knowledge contained in those books can only take us so far. Having a technique for creating story structure is of little use if the story we're subconsciously telling ourselves is permanently holding us back. I want the reader of your novel or screenplay to be a willing passenger on your personal journey. So what is a story? And why do we need stories in our lives? Consider the 3-act rule of storytelling, which has been around since the earliest days of theatre. In Act 1, we have a premise, and that's the event which kicks off the story. There's a hero who desires something, and the drama boils down to a question, a what if. In Act 2, that's where that question is answered, at least in part. But something's wrong. That initial desire is thwarted. This is the complication. where the hero faces his or her greatest fear. And at the end of the second act, the stakes are raised to where all seems lost. Then in Act 3 is the resolution. From the jaws of defeat, we might still snatch a victory, we may still find peace. But the answer must come as a surprise. Why? Because the resolution reflects for us the improbable nature of our existence. Comedy tends to elevate us. We somehow prevail despite our foolishness, where tragedy humbles us before it. But both celebrate our shared humanity. Both have the power to free us from the burden of consciousness. What is it that shapes the drama in this way? Why do we respond to it so readily? I believe it's because those three acts mirror the struggle of our lives. Youth is the premise where the questions are, why am I here? What will I become? In the first act of our lives, there's no time for reflection. There's only this questioning energy, this optimistic outward searching. We're caught up in the questions and they demand answers. Second act of our lives is when the complication arrives. And this generally happens in our 20s or early 30s, when the harshness of the world begins to mock our ambitions, driving us to doubt ourselves. We're on Joseph Campbell's hero's quest, Jordan Peterson's search for meaning. It's the climax of the second act of our lives. No one escapes. Act 3, old age, is where we make peace with our younger selves, if we're lucky. Just as in drama, the end can be a comedy or a tragedy. Either way, the questions of our life must be resolved before we die. As we watch the fictional drama unfold, we're subconsciously drawing life lessons from the action on screen or stage, willing the hero to win his or her battle so we might be better equipped to win our own. More than simple entertainment or distractions from the daily struggle of life, these stories are life itself. That's why we cherish our favourite books and movies, because they speak to us of something meaningful, something universal. And as writers, it's why we struggle to make our stories come out right. Storytelling is as natural to us humans as breathing. It's how we make sense of our world. And it's such a joyful pastime that it's easy to forget that for some of us, writing began as an antidote to trauma. I was only 14 when my sister, 4 years older, was diagnosed with a blood disease called lupus. A year later, while she still struggled with her condition, I fell ill with rheumatic fever and was close to death. I recovered slowly, but my sister was not so lucky. She succumbed to her illness, aged only 22. These events, which overshadowed my school and college years, were shattering for my parents. Unable to process all this raw emotion, I retreated into myself. Always a shy kid, I became even more introverted and sad. I spent 4 years at art school training to be a graphic designer, but with no real desire to follow that path. Something bubbling away inside. I knew that I had to free myself and get out from under that dark cloud. And I found the answer on stage, where I launched myself first as an actor and then as a writer. I mounted my own productions with like-minded friends, until eventually I got my first paid writing job. Now, with that came deadlines and a big responsibility. People were counting on me. What had been just fun suddenly felt quite serious. At that point, I had a major crisis of confidence. Professional writing work, especially for television, is a high-pressure, high-stakes business. If you don't deliver, there are hundreds of other writers waiting in line to take your place. This is not the kind of environment where you can afford to have writer's block. Something that I found to my cost when I screwed up a TV script back in the 90s. And I was an actor back then. This is me on the left as a detective in the police drama Between the Lines. I was shooting the series when the call came from the medical show, the call to write Casualty, and I thought I could do both. I was wrong, and while I coped with the acting, faking a good script was not so easy. I had a minor breakdown. I was in tears. It was a terrible blow to have to admit I'd failed. And though the producers of Casualty had me back after a brief cooling off period, I was never going to forget that lesson. I'd been doing too much of the wrong kind of thinking, chasing the money instead of staying true to myself. I had no mentors back then, so had to search inside myself for some wisdom. As human beings, storytelling is our birthright. It's what defines us. We're all equipped with imagination and the ability to play with ideas, writers perhaps more than most. But to be able to summon that inspiration at will, time after time, takes a certain discipline. That means putting in the hours. Okay, so you've turned up for work, you're at your desk, you've uploaded the software, coffee's brewed. What now? practice that I stumbled on quite early in my career was to have a dialogue with myself. And it had to be written down by hand, not on any device. Our technology is wonderful. Obviously, I'm using it now, but it can distance us from our deepest feelings. It fools us into thinking that everything imaginable can be accomplished with the click of a mouse. So I created a dialogue, writing my thoughts down in a journal. I asked myself the most difficult questions I could come up with, not just about the project I was working on, but also about me, how I was doing, what was worrying me, if anything. In this way, I accomplished two things. Firstly, I calmed myself down, heading off the usual negative thoughts of the past, simply by expressing them, putting them on paper where they could do no harm. Secondly, more importantly, by asking questions, I was activating my subconscious mind. Now, most of us don't think about our subconscious, obviously, because the subconscious is hidden from us, even as it motivates us every moment at the deepest level. But for writers, accessing that deep level is the whole point of the exercise. We do it so that others can share the experience, because, as the saying goes, what comes from the heart or the subconscious goes to the heart. Just as visible light is only one small band of the electromagnetic spectrum, so our conscious mind has evolved to allow us to solve immediate problems, like avoiding saber-toothed tigers or remembering to go to work. But the subconscious is the powerhouse, the mothership. And those with easy access to it can create truly wonderful things that the rest of us stand in awe of. But it's my belief that we're all capable of reaching down into those depths. Most people don't realize that if they ask questions of their subconscious mind, they will get answers, and sometimes immediately. I learned how to tap into my creativity almost by accident, finding simple habits to boost my confidence. And I've refined those habits and techniques over many years, until now they form the backbone of my writing course. All through my career, I took my methods for granted. I didn't see any correlation with my life in the broader sense. But almost inevitably, that early trauma that had hung over me in adolescence resurfaced in that difficult second act of my life, and I looked around for guidance. And I was lucky enough to meet people on a similar journey who helped me. I saw how my reality was shaped by my thoughts and how to make that process work in my favor. I began to see similarities between how I taught myself to write and how I was now being taught to live. That is, to achieve harmony in everything I do. I saw that when I wrote, more by luck than judgment, I had trained myself to bypass my conscious mind, that part of me that buzzed with unhelpful, negative thoughts about my obvious shortcomings, and dive deep into my subconscious, where the answers would always present themselves. The subconscious drives all our stories, as well as all the other forms of creativity. And it's also where we connect with our fellow humans. It's the invisible engine of every novel, every film, every drama. It's the answer to that deep question that we posit in every story we set out to write. So the method I propose in the Storyteller Gene has proved to be useful, not just for beginners, but also for very experienced writers. Because wherever you are on that spectrum, you'll always be striving for the next level. You'll always be asking questions of yourself and your readers. And sometimes the answers won't come. When you're asking difficult, subtle, profound questions of yourself, that's when you need clear and simple techniques to connect with your subconscious mind and stay on the right path. So I offer a three-tiered approach to unlocking your innate creativity. Firstly, understanding the value of meditation and solitude. Second, establishing a conscious dialogue with your subconscious mind. And thirdly, learning how and why stories are able to resonate with an audience. This is not a rigid approach. All writers have different aims with strengths and weaknesses unique to them. So finding out what makes you bring your best game, and conversely where you may be in need of professional guidance, that's my primary concern. So you may ask, how will I know if I'm on the right path? And the answer is synchronicity. Synchronicity is the ghost in the machine. A chance remark made by a friend, or a book picked up at random which falls open at a page suddenly illuminates a problem with the story that you weren't even aware of. Some kind of invisible force seems to be conspiring to help you. If this feels like magic, it is. It's the magic of your storyteller gene leading the way. Now, I said there were no guarantees in creative writing or any of the other arts. One thing I can guarantee, however, is that by staying on the path, using the techniques I've developed, you will be better equipped to get straight to the good stuff in all of your writing projects, saving time and avoiding the potentially crippling self-doubt that so many of us can suffer.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I have lots more tips and techniques on writing on my writing course, the Storyteller Gene, which you can find on my website if you're not already there, and that's www.davidrichardfox.com. Thanks again.